Now we're going to go through how to go about importing our animals into AgriWebb using a CSV file. Now what we're going to do for this is we're going to make sure we're on our livestock list and we're going to hit individuals in this top toolbar here. Now this livestock list will go through a little bit further detail in the next course in this grouping, so that will be in the livestock list course, but for now we're going to focus on adding our animals in first. So we're going to go to this Add Animals button in the top right hand corner here. It's bright green. We're going to hit that one and we're going to hit this Import New Animals from CSV. We're going to choose our species. In this case, I'm going to demo a cattle CSV. And from here, we're just going to upload our CSV from our computer. Now you can get these CSVs directly from your wayheads or your indicators, or you can go through and create your own CSV as well. Once this one's loaded in, you'll be able to see a few of the columns have automatically mapped across. Now, AgriWebb will attempt to map those columns for you. However, we'll go through in a little bit how to go through and manually assign columns, as well as put in manual values as well for those times when AgriWebb doesn't quite recognize columns. Before we get into that, we'll discuss a little bit about CSV setup. So when it comes to importing our CSV animals, we're going to make sure that we do have one species per CSV. So we can't go through and import sheep and cattle on the same CSV there. You can also make it a little bit easier moving forward, having your sexes separate as well. So if you've got a grouping of steers and heifers you're wanting to import, importing the steers in one CSV and the heifers in the other. And this can make the whole process a lot simpler for you. So coming back to this one here, we've got EID has automatically mapped, visual ID has automatically mapped, breed and sex, etc. The only fields that are required when it comes to importing animals is the ones with the asterisks next to them. So sex and breed, for example, or date of birth. Now these relate directly to the age class of the animal or the age class it's going to be assigned. So AgriWebb has an automatic aging capability, and that's why these fields are required. Everything else is entirely up to you whether you want to go through and put in those details or not. Now we can see here that one of our required fields, the wean status, which is an asterisk, hasn't been able to find that data in the CSV, or it hasn't mapped automatically. So in this case, what we can do is add a manual value. So we're going to hit this drop down, map to a column in, and we're going to go down to manual value. And what we'll see here is if we jump across here, we'll have the manual value option. So in this case, I'm going to say that these animals have been weaned. Same again down here, we can see that date on farm, it doesn't actually have a value in this CSV that it can chuck to. So what we're going to do here is we can either map to a column and actually manually choose the date we want these animals to be on farm. And in this case, you can see here that these are all my column headings and there's nothing to indicate date on farm. So in this case, I can go through and add in a manual value. And let's say their date on farm is today. Now, fertility status is quite an important one, especially if you're going to be entering in neutered animals, so steers or wethers. So in this case, you're going to want to make sure that they have been put in as neutered. So in this case, I'm going to go here to use manual value to demonstrate, and these are your fertility options. Now, any animal that is in a neutered state will automatically indicate they've been castrated previously. So an animal that is sex male and has a neutered status will be a steer or a wether, depending on whether he is a sheep or a cow. So moving down here, we can see quite a selection of different options that we can enter in as we go. And as discussed in that first course on management groups and enterprises, we can go in here and associate these animals straight away with their correct management group. Once we're happy with that one, we can hit next. And what will happen is it'll actually let you know which fields you've missed here. And if there's any errors, it'll actually bring you across this fix errors screen. So an error includes a duplicate EID, whether there's breeds that the system doesn't recognize, namings, birth dates that don't quite match up. Everything there will come up in the fix errors screen, and you can go through and manually adjust those bits of data before you finish the full import. Once everything's happy in the system and in your head, you can preview that import, and then you can choose to import the whole system there. We'll go to next, and what it'll do is it'll process the file, and we can see we have a few errors here as displayed. So I can go through here and actually assign the correct breeds. As we can see, we've got a full list here. In this case, I'm just going to select Angus. It hasn't recognized the location, which is another form of error. We can then go import there. and that will bring them through to your livestock list, and you'll see what that livestock list looks like in one of our next courses on the livestock list.